Hi there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Are you look like you're maybe at work.
I am.
Okay.
I am, and I'm in my office, but I keep my office door open and the kids walk past, and I don't want to be in here with no mask on when we're making them wear a mask.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yep. I understand.
um, yeah.
It is tough. It's funny because my daughter will often say, "Mom, where's your mask?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm always the one saying that." You get halfway to the grocery store and you go, "Ah, where's your mask?"
Right? I always keep some in my car.
I know. I need to get another package of disposables because I seem to lose my cloth ones all the time.
Oh, we don't have that problem. I make them. So, like, right here on my desk, there's four. Like,
Right.
we have way too many masks going on in our house.
Well, and when I get them through the wash, there are a lot of them. Um, it's, like when I have to run into the store and who knows what I've done. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, how can I have lost this many masks at one time? So school's open
Yep.
and thriving, surviving.
Well, I mean, yes, we're almost full, so I'm feeling really good about that. But this constant, my kid has a cold. When can we come back? That kind of stuff is just
Yeah,
really hard.
yeah,
I'm still just, I feel like each situation is really unique.
right.
And we have these policies written, but I don't know.
I know. And I think you're right. I mean, it's kind of like a making when we make accommodation for a student. Um, it's like, yeah, I can give you an overview of what my classrooms are going to be like and what is available to each student. But then when each student gets there, I have to determine if I need to add something or take something out or change, one of um, the the parts of our day or change the structure because you have to work on an individual basis. And I think you're right. I mean, I've got a kiddo who most of the winter, once winter actually hits, she'll have a stuffy nose.
Uh-huh.
Just
Yeah.
and it's just her. Um, and so it's working with parents and trying to have that transparency to say, you know your kid best. I know your kid pretty well. And we have to make the best choice together, right? If your kid
Right.
doesn't have a runny nose all winter and now they have a runny nose and there's maybe some other stuff, let it wait. You know,
Mhm. I
it's
said
tough.
to a parent, if your child if a child with the same symptoms your child has was in your class in her class, would you be okay with it? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if somebody else were in the class with those same symptoms, would you be okay with that? And that's where it is. Like,
Right. Right. And I think that's a great question to be asking because I think we all make decisions at times based on what's best for us right now. Like, but I really need to go run an errand. So I need my kiddo to be at school. But when you think about it the other way around, how would I
mhm,
feel if somebody else had brought their kid with these symptoms? It takes a
right.
whole new
Yep.
perspective. So,
Yep.
and all your public schools are back.
Yes, mostly hybrid though.
Okay.
So we primarily service two. Um, Menominee Falls is back hybrid right now. Um, in October, they're going to start the K through second grade are going to go every day. They're going to do that for a few weeks and see how it goes. And then they're going to increase grades, you know,
Yeah.
periodically. Um, Germantown right now, it's like, I don't even know. So the elementary schools are every day. The middle school goes, you either go Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. And then Wednesday is a cleaning day.
Yeah.
So the middle school gets a day to clean, but not the elementary school.
Okay.
And then the high school goes every other day. So you're an A day or a B day.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then every fifth day that your kid goes in high school, after that fifth day, then everyone has a virtual day.
Okay.
And again, there's no cleaning days in the high school.
Right. Well, maybe on that virtual day, but
Maybe.
then the teachers are probably at school.
The teachers are at school, and if the teacher wants your kid to come on that virtual day, they have to come.
Okay.
But there's no busing on that day.
Oh, this whole idea of equitable service in education like rules my world right now. It's like, okay, so you are high level educated administrators in decent sized districts, right? We're not talking about 2-room schoolhouse districts,
Right,
right?
right.
And you're providing access to those who have the means and to, access to good education to those who have the means, and we're leaving everybody else behind. And it's like, I don't understand. I mean, that's happening here. I hear it all over the place, and I just I want to rip my hair out some days going, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
what school board is not asking the question of, wait a second, are we leaving someone out by providing this model?
The Germantown, okay, so I personally live in Germantown. I have
Okay.
a son who's in high school.
Okay.
But my school, my preschool is in Menomonee Falls. So
Yeah.
I pay attention to both districts, to
Mhm.
both boards.
Yeah.
And the end of the summer, this was my analogy. The Menomonee Falls School Board was like Star Wars, kind of had everything under control. Everybody knew what everybody was doing, right? Germantown was kind of like Spaceballs.
Hmm.
It was a disaster. Every meeting, there would be like a new plan, and then they like threw this. So if you have a kid in all three schools, all three of your kids have a different schedule
Right. Oh my
to go to
God.
school.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, I don't understand how anybody can know when which kid needs to be where on what day. And if you
Right.
have a full-time job, like,
Yeah. Right. I mean, just think how much money you're now spending, because you have to have somebody basically there the whole time if you have younger children. I mean, just to manage everybody, just to say,
mhm.
hey, we don't have a bell that rings in my house. So guess what? 5 minutes till your next Zoom, right?
Right, exactly.
Lunch is over, right? I mean, I get it. Like, let's teach our children some accountability and do all this, but oh my gosh, I mean,
It's yeah.
our elementary school is full remote, and
Okay.
so constantly during my day, I have a little person who comes in the store. Can you tell me what this would? Can I? Do you want to read? Do you? I'm like, like, I have to work. I mean, we're really trying to manage this whole idea. Like, if you can get your work done, I can get my work done. Then we can spend time together. But if I have to help you get your work done during the day, I have to do my work at night, and then
And then
we're working different schedules, right? It's a challenge for sure, for sure.
it is.
And you're right. I think about people who don't work from home or don't have flexible schedules at work. How are they even managing life,
Right.
to
Yeah,
make anything work?
speaking of little people,
Right. Okay.
one of my teachers has an elementary school son, and so he goes to school every other Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So he goes to school on Thursday of this week, but her husband has to actually be in the office on Thursday. So she's going to take him and be back in time for our school to start. But we have a family who sometimes drops off one of her students early because he has an older sibling who needs to be dropped off early. So
Yeah. It's crazy.
it's just, I,
Yeah. And again, I mean, we're talking about people with access
mhm,
and means and we work in this world, right? So it comes easy to try to relatively, right? To try to, micromanage all these little pieces of a day. But when you think about those who don't and who really rely on school for maybe respite for an adult or for everything for that child from 8 to 3 or whatever it is,
mhm.
um, where are we failing to support all learners,
Right, right. And that's
Um,
absolutely the case.
I'm going to welcome Jessica, who is muted and has her video off. Jessica, we're being informal today because it's Tammy and I here. It's the Tammy and Corey show for right now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see if Jessica decides to unmute herself. Or she could just listen to us figure out what public schools are doing.
Good morning. I'm muted because I'm driving, but I'm listening.
Okay.
And I can unmute for feedback.
All right, Jessica, that sounds good. Just chime in if you want to.
Perfect.
Where is everyone else? Come on, I've been waiting for one of these informal, let's just talks.
I know. It's, last week I wasn't here. I was attending the Cape board meeting, and Melanie said there were about 8 people last week when Katie was kind of going through her virtual classroom that she made. It's been pretty, there have been different people every week, but it's been kind of small. And I think it's just because people are caught up in the tasks of, what they're doing in their own centers. That's something I had a conversation with another school leader yesterday who's working with their board, and this person is really a visionary leader, so has big plans, big ideas, can really motivate people to typically to work towards those. But so many of our programs are struggling with the daily tasks and either afraid of looking at the big picture and looking off into a more distant future, or they're just seeing a lot of resistance from board members, from other congregational leaders who say, wait, we just need to figure out, if we're going to have enough money by December, or, we need to figure out if we can reopen in January before we look at the big picture. And this was also something that came up at the Cape board meeting, and that if we don't focus on those big picture items and really planning for our future, as we did last year, forecasting out for 5 years, we're going to end up running ourselves into the ground because we haven't planned for, what comes after this. And I know, Tammy, you said, you're almost full, you're open, things are kind of, starting to feel like they're humming along again. But what kind of planning are you and your congregational leaders doing right now?
Well, so our church is doing parking lot church, but we're in Wisconsin, so we can only do that for another, like 12 hours before the snow comes. So I just was in a board meet or a staff meeting where we were talking about what our plans are for the future. So we just spent a bunch of money to install some, I don't know the technical stuff, but some cleaning systems that go on our HVAC systems. So they're filtration systems that are supposed to kill the virus and whatever. And so the Department of Children and Families in Wisconsin actually just had a grant program, and so we were awarded some money. So we are going to contribute to that to get that HVAC system through the entire building, which will be better for us. Right now we have air purifiers in our classrooms, but we're going to put this stuff on the HVAC, which will be better. And so we're making steps towards having right now small groups in the building, and then from there, the goal is to have in-person church by March
Okay.
in the building. And we figure that having that long-term goal, I don't think it's very popular with all of our congregation, but it's the right thing to do right now, especially in Wisconsin. So one of the things that we did, this is only my second school year as the director. Last year was my first, and that was great. But one of the goals that I had was to redo our playground. And our new playground climber was installed during the summer. And so that is super exciting.
Yeah.
And so the next big thing that we want to do is expand our school by one classroom. And so that's kind of some of the backwards planning that I've been doing.
Yeah. So tell me, what is, my family's up in Wisconsin, but they're not involved. I've got a nephew who's a pre-K kiddo. So
Okay.
he is in school, but what is changing? You said 12 hours.
Oh, no, not really, but like, it's going to snow and we're not going to be able to be outside.
Right. Okay. I thought maybe Wisconsin was starting to go back towards closing some things down or limiting group sizes or.
I don't know. Like Wisconsin, our numbers are rising like at insane record numbers every day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. My sister lives in Madison, and I said, so the national news said that Wisconsin is going to be the next New York City, and I'm like, are you concerned? And she said, Corey, it's crazy. Like once you leave Madison, and I'm sure you see it other places like Milwaukee, right?
Uh-huh.
Once you leave, like nobody is taking it seriously.
No.
She was in the what is that area called? It's like Gays Mills, Fenimore, Boscobel. There's all these little.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's a river. It's like the I don't know, but she was up in that area, and she said, I mean, nobody wears a mask. Businesses don't have any postings. I mean, these are things that I believe are mandated by the state. Like they say you have to. You could receive a fine, but she said you get into a community where 90% of the people aren't taking it seriously. Who's policing that?
Right. Well, in the county, so I live in Washington County, and the Washington County Sheriff, the day after our governor announced the mask mandate, the Washington County Sheriff said he was not going to enforce it. So I've been making masks, so I went into this little fabric store that I just had discovered. The owner was the only person in there. She was wearing a mask. I was like, this is great. I'm so happy. The next time I went to that store, there were 5 customers and the owner. Nobody's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand. My husband and I had ordered a quarter side of beef from a meat market that we have used for years. Went in there, nobody's wearing a mask. Not even the people who are in the back preparing the meat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding?
Right.
Just wear a mask.
I know.
And so everybody's like, we have this mask mandate and it's not working because our numbers are going up. And so people are like, the mask mandate doesn't work anyway, so why should we do it? Well, it doesn't work because nobody's doing it.
Right.
And I don't understand how that logic isn't there. Like I just don't understand.
Right. No, I don't either. And to me, it's as simple as, I'm
in California.
Hi, Jessica. Hi, Katie. I thought Jessica maybe just wanted to say something quick.
Jessica, you're
mute.
Mute.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
No.
I'm in California. People aren't wearing masks. It's kind of crazy. Some areas are, but then other areas they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine that, you know, for you too, around working with your students and the families, it becomes such a challenge to try to just, I mean, it becomes polarizing, right? I don't know
Yes.
about you. When I'm somewhere, I will make internal judgment on someone, right? But I'm not going to go say, excuse me, but since I'm in the grocery store with you and there's a mandate, I'd really love it if you put your mask on. Like, I'm just not going to do that. Where it's different with the families you work with, you know, asking families to put a mask on when they come into your building. If you let people come into your building, that's easier, right? It's easier to kind of police our space and say, you know, this is what's expected of you. And it doesn't have to be confrontational, just, oh, you know, please pull your mask up. Oh, don't forget to grab a mask. You know, it can be really simple. But it is a very polarizing issue. Where confrontation is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Katie was here. Katie left. Welcome, Katie. I'm gonna change this around a little. So one of the other things that I've seen a lot on other listservs is, you know, when you're having children in your building, this idea of masks and the age of children that are expected to wear masks, or if they even have to wear masks inside your building. And I know state guidance is sometimes loose and sometimes a little bit more stringent on that. Tammy, what do you do for you do expect your kiddos to wear masks, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Building?
Yep. So we have a 3K and a 4K classroom, but our 4K kids, a lot of them turn 5 during the school year. The state mask mandate is 5 and up. And we had decided actually before we had a state mask mandate that we would all be wearing masks. So our 3-year-olds wear masks, and all of them except for one wear their mask all of the time except for when they're eating snack. We just have one little guy, and he's the youngest in that class, who just pulls it down sometimes. And we're not on him about it. It's just, you know, when he goes into the hallway, we say, in the hallway you have to wear your mask over your nose, and he does. And then if he's playing with somebody with toys, we encourage him to wear his mask over his nose then. But he's the only one in that class who has any trouble with it, and none of the 4-year-olds have any trouble with it. The parents don't come into our building, but when they come to the door to pick up or drop off, we ask them to wear a mask too, and they all do. So we don't have any problems with our families at all with the mask stuff, even though technically our students don't need to wear masks according to the state's guidelines.
Yeah, and that's really good. I mean, it shows a lot of support from your families, but it eases, I think, the burden for you and for your staff too,
Mm-hmm.
to just kind of have that in place. And I think that kids get it. Kids get it really quick. Like, it's just another thing that we have to kind of do. You know, I have to wear my shoes. I have to keep my shoes on. I have to keep my mask on.
Yep. And we got them all lanyards so it can hook onto the bottom of their mask, and so they can just pull it down, like if they're on the playground running a lot or when they eat snack, and so it doesn't sit on the table or anything like that. And they really do really well with it. So
And no remote. You have all your kids there for their full time,
mhm.
right?
Yep, but we're only a half day program, so
Okay. But 5 days a week?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
Pretty good. Sorry, I was, as right as I logged on, our building person came and talked to me about the floor waxing that's happening Monday, and it's like such a big production. And
That's exciting.
I mean, I guess so. We have to move like everything.
Oh, okay. Not so exciting.
But we're not open yet, so you know.
Right.
It's not that.
Right. But you'll have shiny new floors when you are.
We'll have shiny new floors when we are. Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, Tammy. Did you say were you talking about how the kids are doing with masks? Is that like tail and it's going pretty well?
Yes, it is. So we're a small half day program. We just have a 3K and a 4K classroom. So 2 classrooms, 2 teachers, 10 and 13 kids are our max. But they're all wearing masks. We only have one little guy who struggles with it, and he's the youngest in the 3-year-old classroom. But everyone else wears a mask every day and no troubles.
Where are you located?
In Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. And then is it a rule that they need to wear the mask, or is it like recommended? How are you wording it?
We told the parents it was a requirement.
Okay. We're in Tacoma, Washington, and we're looking to potentially open the beginning of November. And we're like you, we're a half-day program. Our classes are smaller. I mean, it sounds like we're pretty similar size. We're saying our pre-K kids need to wear them, but strongly recommending our 2s and 3s. So we're doing remote stuff, and so far when the families come pick up their bags of activities for the week, the kids have all been wearing their masks in the car, so I find that to be encouraging. But
yeah. I think what we expressed to the families is that we wanted the kids to wear masks because we wanted to be able to stay in school. And we wanted to make sure we don't have subs. Like I'm it. If one of our teachers has to be out, that's me. And then when that's exhausted, we're done, So we wanted them to understand that we needed to stay open as long as possible. And the best way to do that was for everyone to wear a mask, and that mask wearing was not going to be the focus of our day. We were still going to focus on the social things that we were doing before and everything else. And just that we wanted them to wear a mask as much as they could. And I think one of our phrases was, any mask wearing is better than no mask wearing.
It's true.
And so I felt like I sent out some preliminary guidelines that we were going to follow probably about a month before we opened. And then a few weeks before we opened, I sent out more detailed ones. And I didn't have anybody question any of our policies. So
they're probably just so happy that you're open.
I think so. I really do.
Because just like, yay!
I'm sure this is the same for you, but when we closed a week before our spring break, and I said, oh, well, we'll be closed this week. We'll be closed spring break. Well, I'll be back. Everything will be fine. Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, we're just going to be closed for like 6 more weeks, and then we'll have the last month and a half of school. No. Then we'll open at the beginning of the year. No.
So we did.
We're looking at November, so we'll see.
We opened in September, and we've had a few kids who have called and said, she has a runny nose, she has a sore throat. What should I do? And I said, well, she can't come to school today, and let's keep in touch over the weekend. Prior to this, I had never given my cell phone number to any parents or anybody, and now they all have it. And parents are really good about communicating back and forth, and it's been really good.
That's good. Do you have any tips for how you're doing like sensory stuff? Are you doing that at all, or do you have individual bins? Do you have any like wisdom you want to share with me?
So
I'd love to hear it.
We took the sensory tables out, and I have been struggling with it. I really think sensory is super important for the kids. And so I did a research about 2 weeks ago, and I could not find one article anywhere that supported putting a sensory table back in the classroom. So what we've been doing is we have these small tubs, individual size, that they're shallow, probably like that deep.
Yeah.
And our teacher put water in it and some gems and some little cups, and then each kid had a spot at the table. They all got soaking wet. There was water everywhere, but they sat for like a half hour.
Wow.
Playing in the water. And so it was super great. So we've been doing stuff like that. And we're pretty fortunate that we have, we're almost full, so we have a decent budget. So we're going to put rice in next week, and then we'll just keep those bins for those kids for the week, and then we're just going to toss the rice.
That's what we've been talking about doing, or having individual Play-Doh that's labeled with their name that we could take out. just individual stuff. We're doing a remote program right now, so we've been doing remote, just like individual sensory things to send home, like water beads or Play-Doh, and so I went down a deep Pinterest hole of sensory bags this weekend. So we're just going to try to adapt that a bit.
Yeah.
And we're
yeah.
still going to continue having a remote option even when we open.
Okay.
Because,
okay.
We weren't initially, but when feedback from families, there's just a lot of families that aren't ready to come back, even if our county infection numbers continue to stay down or lower or moderate. I mean, it's all relative right now.
It is.
Like what I consider like having, 56 per 100,000 case rate seems really low to me right now, because in the summer we were up in like the 120s. So, but like in other places that's super high. But for us, it seems okay right now. So,
Well, I would rather be there than here with those numbers.
are you guys going up?
Crazy, like record numbers every day for the past 2 weeks.
I feel like we had a spike more in the beginning. It kind of seemed like along the coast, and now it's more in the middle of the country, the numbers.
Yeah.
Can you remind me, do you charge tuition for your remote?
Yes, half of our regular tuition. Mm-hmm. But our tuition is pretty low anyway, so it's not a lot.
But when I think about the future of early childhood education and those families that may feel like they're at risk for a long time, for some of our schools to be providing this remote option, parents aren't necessarily educated in early childhood development. So for them to have access to the resources and, different learning modules and developmentally appropriate activities, that's huge.
Yeah, we've had really good feedback. We have a lot of new families this year that weren't familiar with preschool, or our weekly newsletters we're now sending out the beginning of the week to explain what we're sending home and why, and we break it down, by fine motor, social emotional, gross motor, STEM, and why we're doing what they're doing. And we've had parents say, "Oh, I had no idea that this insert simple activity had all of these benefits."
Right.
So
you need some of those I play, I learn posters.
I know we have one.
Okay. So, what I used to do with those is basically, and maybe I won't make this video available to other people. But when I had my center, I would just type all that stuff in, and then I'd send pictures of those, of a kid doing that activity, so that they could look at it and go, "Oh, look, when I play with Play-Doh, my parents can see what I'm learning, and now I have a picture of the kiddo doing that activity." And then we'd put them up all over the place. But I'd put it in newsletters, or I'd take a photo and, of the poster, because the two-sidedness is a little difficult.
Yeah.
You have to take somebody to the bathroom.
But I think there's so much that parents don't realize that goes on. A lot of parents use preschool as just, they want to go do something else. So
just a break to go to Target or
right.
just have coffee with a friend. Yeah, they're not really necessarily doing it for the learning benefits.
Yeah, the pandemic has really proven to all of us that our kids are actually engaged in things, and they are learning things, and it's a rich environment for them to be in. And it also lets us do our errands,
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of feedback from our parents from last year whose kids are in kindergarten now. And with the remote, because none of our school districts are open yet, with the remote kindergarten, it's just such a different day. And the parents are saying that their kids are bored because, in kindergarten, especially in public school, you have to start at the very beginning because not everyone had any early childhood education. And so normally a kindergarten teacher can look at who's doing what and kind of fill in activities, but over the computer, there's just not that opportunity. And so I've been getting calls from parents saying, "What kinds of things could we do?" Or "We're feeling really bored," or, And I think that happens usually, but it's just kind of exacerbated by this computer
Mhm.
learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Jessica, remind us, you're in California. Your
Mhm.
program's open?
No.
No. Okay.
So the last time we met 2 weeks ago, I was getting my proposal together to open,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and they're deciding tonight. So I sent everything over. I've been open for discussions, and then we're meeting tonight, and then they're voting. The council is. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Because
Yeah.
everyone else around you is open. Is that right, Jessica?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the only preschool that's not open. And we also follow the school district, which is not opening. So I don't know what we're going to do.
It's go ahead.
My parents they're not interested in the distance learning
Yeah.
because they need a place for their kids to go. So
Yeah.
It's I think next year's kindergarten class, it's going to be really interesting to see how both public and private deal with that huge gap of kids who've never been in a formalized classroom environment. Because that's really at the very root of what a kindergarten teacher wants out of a preschool education is teach the children how to love learning and how to be in a classroom community, because then in kindergarten we can start getting to, all of the academic rigor that we need to, if they're poised to be ready to learn and love learning.
Well, also around here, kindergarten enrollment is tanked. It is so low. Most elementary schools have cut at least one class because people are just like, well, I'm just going to wait and enroll my child for kindergarten next year. So either there's going to be, and in Washington, you don't have to start school until you're 8. You don't have to start your child. And so people could just enroll their kids in first grade and have completely skipped kindergarten, or you could have a lot of older kids going into kinder. Like there's already been some discussion about having a cutoff birthday that if you're above this age, you have to go into first grade because the bubble for kindergarten is expected to be really large for next year.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Wisconsin used to be like that, where Tammy is, and I think it's a little different now. I know a lot of districts with having a universal pre-K. That's when they started creating those. You have to be this age, and you can't be over this age, so that parents couldn't kind of do pre-K twice. And it takes, they'll do it on a case-by-case basis, but it takes a lot of data and a lot of communication with resource professionals to allow a child to take preschool a second time before entering kindergarten because of an age or developmental delay or something like that. It's really, really difficult. In the first year they implemented it, there were a lot of parents who tried to do it. And the district said, no, we feel they're ready. And we have the accommodation for whatever needs they have. And so, no, we're not, you can't do it unless you pull out and go to a private school, which in my district, you'd have to go into Madison to get to a private school. We just didn't have any private schools in the community. But I think you'll see more states having to do that, to say, we have to make this window a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I think that this year with all of this going on has really highlighted that here in Washington, because so many parents, even parents of first graders, are pulling their kids out because they don't have to. They have to disenroll once they've been enrolled, but they don't have to do anything extra other than just say, I'm going to homeschool and I'll bring them back when they're 8. They don't have to like register to homeschool or be certified that they can teach, like prove that they have some education.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild West out here right now. It's crazy. It seriously is.
And that, it's easy to look at us, a specific family situation and go, why would you choose this? But, they're all making decisions based on fear,
Mhm.
experience, education or lack thereof. And so it becomes really, really tricky to navigate. Tammy, I have a trick question for you. It's not really a trick question. We'll just see if you know the answer. Has the whole state of Wisconsin now gone to mandating kindergarten?
No.
Or is it community by community? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I believe that you can, if your child is 6, I believe you can enroll them, 6 or 7, you can enroll them directly into first grade and you don't have to do kindergarten.
Okay.
At least in our community.
Yeah. Yeah. Katie was just sharing that in Washington, they don't really have to go to school until they're 8. So this bubble of kindergartners, because people are kind of holding their kids back and maybe not sending them, there's going to be this bubble. And then what's going to happen in the future is this bubble kind of is forced to enter the school system. But I know in Verona, which is in Wisconsin, when pre-K, universal pre-K was beginning to be offered, the Verona school district closed that window. And they basically said, like, you can't be younger than this or older than this to enter kindergarten, and everybody has to enter kindergarten. And I know that there were some state discussions at that time, but I didn't ever hear how they panned out. So
it's funny that you should bring this up because I have kind of firsthand knowledge about it. My husband's brother and his wife, or soon to be ex-wife, they have a little boy, and it is a very complicated situation, but his mother decided that she was going to homeschool him for K4 and kindergarten. And she purchased a couple packs of flashcards. And I'm certain that they're still in the package. Okay. My mother-in-law is a teacher, an elementary school teacher. Obviously, I'm in the education field. And Noah is now 8. He went to school for first grade last school year. And it is my understanding that after schools closed and he was virtual school, they did nothing. He didn't even log into their virtual school stuff. And now this year, his mother has decided that he will be homeschooled again. Not even virtual school through the school district, but homeschooled again. And my mother-in-law is very concerned about him because she has him a couple evenings and he can't get through like a level 1 library book. He's not where he needs to be. And we've talked to my brother-in-law so many times about it, and he just doesn't want to hear any criticism at all. And so his mom said that her brother, who is an elementary school teacher, is going to homeschool him. They live in Sheboygan and her brother lives in Green Bay. That's like an hour away. And her brother's working and teaching. And so Uncle Orlando is supposed to be sending worksheets to Noah. And I am so frustrated with this situation, and I feel so horrible for our nephew that he's not getting any education.
Right. And you wonder where the school district's responsibility is in that, because public schools are mandated with educating the children in our communities. So
Right.
that is our right to have our children educated. And so for the school to not follow up and have some accountability to a parent to say, okay, they can do this, but they need to come in and take assessments, or we need to have some sort of resource person be your liaison to education, because at some point the school will realize that there's so much makeup to do and not enough time to get it in, you know.
Right. So because Noah was enrolled in the school district last year and they had not like done any of his paperwork or anything, the guidance counselor from his elementary school came to my mother-in-law's house, like actually physically went to her house to try to get the paperwork filled out. That was the situation. Like it's just terrible.
Yeah.
And in Wisconsin, the homeschooling rules are really lax. So you have to fill out this paperwork that says you're going to homeschool your kid, and then you have to provide documentation of how many hours you homeschooled, but you don't have to do anything else. Like your kid doesn't have to take assessments at the end of the year or anything like that. So they can say they're homeschooling, and as long as they filled out that paperwork and make up some form that says they did this for how many hours,
It's done. Yeah.
it's done.
No accountability.
Yeah. There's no accountability at all.
It's very frustrating.
It is, yes.
It's amazing the issues that our current situation has brought to light in our early learning world, but also in the broader K through 12 education world.
I agree, because I think that a lot of families have chosen to homeschool and really not understanding what homeschool means, and that you are the sole teacher for that child and you are solely responsible for their education. And I'm an educator. I've been an educator for 20 years and I wouldn't homeschool.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't choose this either. Believe me. No.
Yeah.
But, you know, what's really sad is there are so many great options right now of at least getting something. Many of our private schools, you know, K-12 or some variation of that, are providing resources for parents who want to, and this is nationwide, and I'm using private schools in general, Catholic schools, LCMS schools, our ELCA schools, but they have so many different options that if you want to kind of do a homeschool model, that they'll provide you with the resources to do that. You don't get the interaction with a teacher to kind of monitor, but if you want completely like on your own, do your own thing with our curriculum, we'll give that to you for a price. If you want the hybrid model, we'll give you that for a price, which is you're going to be at home, but you get that interaction from the teachers. One of our schools is offering a remote version that is 1 week behind their face-to-face, so that teachers have the ability to change their curriculum, and then they provide that week's material. So whatever they did, not necessarily what they planned, but what they did, then goes to the student the following week. And so they're a week behind, but they get to continue that engagement and work with a teacher. So it's like there's a plethora of options out there. Don't let your kiddos not get any education.
Do you want to write a letter for me?
Sure. Right? Here I am preaching to the choir, right? But it's frustrating. You know, Tammy and I were on here. Jessica, I don't know how much of this conversation you caught, but my email and the articles that I'm reading lately are just, I'm consumed with this whole idea of equitable service and making sure that we are providing education to those without the means of access or education. And so many, I think our early childhood programs, we get it. I mean, we're trying to push out material to everybody that we serve. And I think I speak for everyone that if a family came to you and said, listen, we know this is really important. We need some help. We need some support. Great. Let me put some stuff together for you. If at some point you're going to pay tuition and you're going to kind of become part of our program, great. But we provide educational resources to kids in our communities to help them learn,
Mhm.
and to help families understand what early childhood development should look like, right? So it's community based, it's family based, it's that homeschool connection. In our public schools, there's a huge discrepancy between who gets to be afforded access to quality education, and what does quality education look like in September, October of 2020, varies vastly. But if we don't allow access to those that are typically underserved, we're just creating a larger and larger divide that at some point will have to be attended to. And who's going to attend to that? Do colleges and universities go, yikes, like we've got to totally broaden our course offerings, our acceptance, because some kids just didn't have access. The public schools did not provide the right access. We were talking about transportation at the public school, at the public high school here, even pre-pandemic, they have what's called early bird classes. They're usually enrichment classes, but some of them are upper level math or science courses. And so kids can come to an hour early class and take this early bird class. But no transportation is provided for that class.
Yeah, 0 hour. We have it here too. Same thing. You have to get there by like 6:30 in the morning by yourself, however.
Right. And I just go, wait a second. So you're providing extra free education to those with the means to get there. That is so unfair to the majority of the population here.
Mhm.
And they do other crazy things. They offer, teachers will offer extra credit to students who will bring in Clorox wipes and paper towels and tissues and cleaning supplies. Again, like, wait a second. If my family can barely put food on the table, I don't get extra credit because we don't have extra money for extra Clorox wipes, Like, how does that even come close to being equitable? And it's really frustrating for me because there's not an easy answer. It's not like, okay, let's just make a few tweaks and, but it's a real challenge across the board.
Well, I have to go. I'm glad I got to be on for a little bit this morning. Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you. And thanks for last week. I did review. It looked great.
Thanks.
People are watching it. I can see that on the little YouTube thing. It says how many views there have been. So
that might just be my mom and my aunts, but it's fine.
It's okay. It's still views. Bye.
Bye, Katie.
Tammy's on the phone. Jessica, any other support that ELEA can provide to you? We've got a board meeting coming up. If you think of anything that you want us to, discuss at the board or provide more support to you in your specific area, let me know.
Okay, thank you. This has been great. And having these meetings and everything has been so helpful through this whole thing.
Good. Well, we'll definitely be praying for you for a successful vote. So they'll vote after the meeting this evening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I told my families I'll let them know by Friday. So
Good. Well, I hope that you're going to be letting them know that you're opening up.
Me too.
Yes. Thoughts and prayers are with you for sure.
Thank you.
And since Tammy's on the phone, we'll just wave to her. We'll let everybody go. And she can reach out if she needs something. All right, you guys take care.
You too. Thank you, Corey.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.